bodies weren't falling for him at some points in that fight. But I believe we won that fight. Clearly, we should be two-time world champion right now.
Gervonta Tank Davis is back at it again, stirring up trouble online. This time, his target is Lamont Roach Jr. After their fight ended in a controversial draw, Tank didn't hold back, making sure Roach knew exactly what he thought about the outcome. But that's not all. Tank's rivals have been taking shots at him, mocking his pretty boy excuse in the ring. This has set the stage for some exciting future matchups. However, Tank seems more focused on the money than anything else. That became clear when he revealed which fighter he planned to call out if he had won against Roach.
Who were you gonna call out? What was the plan originally?
I think he was here.
Tank gonna do him.
He came in my locker room.
Shakur Stevenson?
He wasn't in my locker room.
Jake Paul?
Next question.
Here's what went down. During a fiery live session, Gervonta Davis didn't hold back. He mocked Lamont Roach Jr., insisting he was still the better fighter and that Roach should be grateful he didn't get knocked out. But Roach wasn't backing down. He fired back, saying Davis gave it his all and still couldn't secure the win. Now that the dust is settling, it seems like Tank might not be done with Roach just yet.
Nobody like a draw, you know, from a guy that get knockouts and things like that, but it's cool. I feel like if we fight again, I could do more, and I should have did more. I was lost in I lost track in the...
The fight was intense, with Roach coming in sharp and outworking Tank in several rounds. The biggest moment came in the ninth when Roach landed a shot that shook the boxing world. Tank took a knee. Most fans and analysts saw it as a clear knockdown, but the referee didn't call it that way. That decision changed everything. If it had been ruled correctly, Roach would have scored the biggest win of his career. Instead, the fight ended in a majority draw, allowing Tank to hold on to his WBA lightweight title. Despite the controversy, Tank has been in full troll mode since the fight. The moment he got on social media, he made sure to remind Roach that he's still the champion and that a draw wasn't enough to claim victory. "You should be thanking me for not ending your career," Davis wrote in one post. In another, he completely dismissed Roach's performance, saying, "You had the fight of your life and still couldn't beat me." But Roach wasn't about to stay quiet. He clapped back, making it clear that Tank knows the truth. Davis gave it everything he had and still couldn't put him away.
They was both even. If you watch the fight, they was both watching each other. Sometimes they stood right in front of each other and was just trying to figure out where the holes was at. It was a very skillful fight.
And which is one of the things that when you fight somebody that you know...
"You know what happened in that ring," Roach said during an Instagram live session. "You felt it. You did your best, and you still couldn't beat me. Told you, I'm no Frank Martin." It was a direct challenge, and Tank clearly didn't like it. Davis quickly fired back, trying to brush off the moment he took a knee. "Man, y'all keep talking about that knee," he said. "I took a knee because I wanted to, not because he did anything special. I was just chilling, thinking about what I was going to eat after the fight." But everyone saw what happened, and the moment exposed a rare sign of vulnerability from Davis. Roach isn't letting it go, using it to keep the pressure on.
I thought I was doing my thing, so I'm not really that frustrated about that. But if that was kind of a knockdown, I would win a majority decision.
All this back and forth is now making Tank rethink his future. Before the Roach fight, Davis was clear about his plans. He had 3 more fights left and expected to retire by the end of 2025. But that controversial draw has shifted everything. Now, Davis is saying he's not leaving the sport anytime soon. "Yeah, it definitely changed my plans," he admitted during the post-fight press conference. "I probably got 4 more fights now." Looks like Tank isn't ready to walk away just yet.
For your future?
Yeah, it definitely changed my plans. It definitely changed my plans. I probably got like 4 more fights now. For sure.
It's a complete turnaround from where he was just months ago. At the end of 2024, Tank made it clear he was tired of boxing and ready to walk away. His plan was set. But now he's got something to prove. That draw against Roach is clearly bothering him, even if he won't admit it outright. His nonstop trolling says it all. This one hit a nerve. But while Tank is busy trolling, Keyshawn Davis is on a mission to expose him, and he's not holding back. Since Tank's controversial draw with Roach, Keyshawn has been all over social media, making it clear that he never believed the hype around Davis. To Keyshawn, Tank's reputation is built on promotion, not real skill. And after watching him struggle against Roach, he's more confident than ever. He's doubling down on his belief that Tank isn't as great as people think, and he's making sure everyone knows that if they ever step in the ring, he would take Tank down without question.
Fight playing out, what's the biggest advantage that Keyshawn has
against Tank?
Yeah,
He's a great boxer. Keyshawn's a great boxer, and he got power behind it too. So I can see that fight just being an entertaining fight. Keyshawn's an entertainer, like you said. Tank comes in there trying to knock you out. I can see that fight just being entertained and doing later rounds. Keyshawn stop.
Keyshawn Davis didn't hold back when he spoke out on Instagram Live. He wasted no time tearing into Tank's performance. "I feel like Lamont won. Let's start there," he said, making his stance clear. "I feel like Lamont definitely won. A draw is what it is. I'm not hating on the decision, but I did feel like Lamont Roach pulled it off." But Keyshawn wasn't just sharing his opinion. He was backing it up with facts. Had the 9th round knee been ruled a knockdown, Roach would have won on 2 of the 3 scorecards, making him the new WBA lightweight champion. Instead, Tank kept his belt, and the controversy only sparked more debate about whether he's really the best at 135. "If they ran it back, y'all already know what would happen," Keyshawn added, making it clear he believes Roach would win a rematch without question.
And not. I'm talking about the opponent. The opponent. I just don't like how.
This wasn't just about Roach. It was about Keyshawn Davis making sure he's in the conversation. He doesn't just think Roach beat Tank. He believes he would do far worse to him. "I'm the best at 135, man," he said with total confidence. "Either one of them guys, I'm knocking them out." Keyshawn wasn't hesitant or unsure. He spoke like a man who already knows what's going to happen. "I'm telling you, if you give me either of them before their rematch, I'm messing that rematch up. They're getting put down. I ain't playing. I'll put all these guys down." The message was crystal clear. Tank and Roach can run it back all they want, but it won't matter. If Keyshawn gets to either of them first, he'll be the one taking over the division.
But I don't want to fight one of them. You know what I'm saying? I don't care who I fight at this point. I don't care. But I'm telling you, if you give me either or before they rematch, I'm fucking their rematch up. They getting put. I'm telling you, I ain't even playing. I ain't playing, bro. I'm young. I'm on fire. I'm young and I'm on fire.
Then came the moment when Keyshawn really let Tank have it. "Don't say Tank will knock me out no more," he fired back. "I'm shutting that down right now. Don't even fix your mouth to say this man could knock me out." Crazy. It wasn't just trash talk. It was a full-on dismissal of everything Tank has built his name on. The power, the knockouts, the fear factor. Keyshawn doesn't see any of it as real. In his mind, Tank has never faced anyone like him. And he's making it clear that the moment they step in the ring, it'll be a whole new kind of fight, one Tank has never experienced before.
And I thought I should have won a competitive fight. I think I did what I needed to do necessary to bank the rounds, and even without the knee, that should have been a knockdown. So I don't think there's any excuse for me not to win tonight, but that's just how the cookie crumbled.
Keyshawn Davis isn't just talking for the sake of it. There's a real chance he could be next in line to face Tank. While Tank has said he's open to a rematch with Roach, he's also made it clear that it won't be next. That has fans speculating. If it's not Roach, then who? Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson are names being tossed around, but so is Keyshawn Davis. Given how personal he's making it, the build-up to that fight would be unlike anything we've seen from Tank in a long time. Keyshawn isn't just calling out Tank's last fight. he's challenging his entire career. He's arguing that Tank has never been what people think he is, claiming that he's been carefully matched up against opponents who make him look good, rather than facing true threats.
Particular quality, if I'm Tank Davis and I'm coming off a disappointment in terms of my offensive output, I'm not going straight to the best defender in the division. I'm looking for some other fight, and I think the logical fight for him is a rematch with Lamont Roach.
Now that Tank has finally been in a real fight and barely survived, the myth of Tank is starting to crumble. Keyshawn wants to be the one to drive the final nail in the coffin. But the backlash isn't just coming from Keyshawn. Tim Bradley has also been one of Tank's toughest critics for years, constantly questioning his choice of opponents and how his career was managed. Yet, even Bradley had to admit that Tank had something special, especially with how Tank handled himself over time. Bradley started to appreciate those qualities, even if he didn't always agree with how Tank carried himself. But after what he saw against Lamont Roach Jr., all of that respect was gone.
I think when he found out, man, this guy is in front of me, he's taking it, I think it was too late. I thought it was disappointing that it didn't draw.
It wasn't just that Tank underperformed. It was the way he carried himself. The entitlement, the belief that he could do whatever he wanted in the ring and get away with it. Bradley had seen a lot in boxing, but Tank's antics in that fight left him shaking his head. He had expected a dominant performance from Davis, a statement win that would silence critics and prove he was still the man to beat at 135. Instead, Tank looked vulnerable, and worse, he acted like he was above the sport.
You see who it is? Hey, who is the dude? Who is the dude?
Bradley was disgusted by what he saw and didn't hold back in his analysis. He felt that Tank had been given an unfair advantage, with the fight being controlled to protect him rather than allowing the action to play out naturally. The 9th round incident was the perfect example. Bradley had never seen a fighter take a knee like that, pausing the action on his own terms and having it completely ignored by the referee. That was the moment Bradley realized that Tank wasn't just a fighter. He was being treated like boxing royalty, with rules bent in his favor. For someone like Bradley, who prided himself on fighting the hard way, that was unacceptable.
Ate the rules up. Yeah, that was bullshit. It should have been called a knockdown. You can't take a break like that. The only person that can do that is the referee. The referee can stop the action and say, hey, let me take you to the...
Bradley also took issue with Tank's attitude during the fight. There was no sense of urgency, no real effort to take control in the later rounds when the fight was slipping away. It almost seemed like Tank believed his status alone would be enough to secure the win, as if the judges wouldn't dare score it against him. Bradley had seen fighters lose their hunger before, but this was different. Tank wasn't just coasting. He was acting like he didn't need to do more than the bare minimum. And to Bradley, that was a major problem.
Stop closing up. Gotta let it go. Keep turning, step around.
Bradley was especially frustrated because he had actually started to come around on Tank. After his knockout win over Ryan Garcia, Bradley had given Tank credit, acknowledging his patience, timing, and high ring IQ. He even defended Tank against critics who called him overrated, arguing that his power made him one of the most dangerous fighters in the sport. But this fight changed everything. Tank's unwillingness to push himself, relying more on his status than his skills, made Bradley question whether he had been wrong to give him that credit in the first place. For Bradley, boxing is about discipline, heart, and the willingness to dig deep when things get tough. He had been in wars, pushed himself to the absolute limit, and had never once expected special treatment. That's why this whole situation disgusted him. He didn't care how much talent Tank had. If he wasn't willing to fight like a champion, then he was never a real champion. But even with all the backlash, Tank Davis seems to have reached a point where what the fans think doesn't matter to him. He's no longer focused on proving himself against the best in his division.
Okay. We still got to see each other. He say he want to fight me, so we gonna fight.
But what do you think about the decision?
I told him I won.
You told him I won. Got you. I'll talk to you later.
Tank isn't focused on his legacy right now. It's all about the money. And if that's the case, Jake Paul offers the biggest payday. The clues are all there. Jake Paul was in the locker room before the fight, and the cameras made sure to show him during the broadcast. When Tank was asked about his next fight, he danced around the question in a way that made it clear he already knew who it would be. He even refused to say Jake's name when the media pressed him, which could mean negotiations are already underway, and he didn't want to spill the news too soon. A fight with Jake Paul wouldn't be about competition, it would be about business. Jake knows how to sell a fight, and Tank is at a point where he's prioritizing paydays over challenges. He's already hinted that a rematch with Lamont Roach isn't happening next, even though the controversy from their fight makes it the most logical option. The WBA should be ordering an immediate rematch, but Tank doesn't seem interested. If they push the issue, he could just vacate the title and move on. That's how little the belts matter to him now. And if he's going to move on from defending his title, why not go all in and take the biggest spectacle fight he can get? Size-wise, this fight makes no sense. Jake Paul walks around at 200 pounds and has even gone as high as 227 for his fight with Mike Tyson, while Tank is a natural 135-pounder, maybe 140 at most. Even if Jake somehow managed to drop down to 185, there would still be a 45-pound difference between them. But this isn't about fairness, it's about selling a fight. Jake Paul has already called out smaller fighters before, including Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor. Facing Tank would just be another chapter in his circus of fights. Jake knows exactly how to get under people's skin and turn fights into must-see events. He's already throwing out hints that he'd destroy Tank due to the size difference while still giving him respect as a fighter. That's the kind of comment that will keep the conversation going. He's planting the seed. And Tank seems like he's on board. If Tank was really interested in fighting Devin Haney or Shakur Stevenson, he would have said their names when asked. Instead, he played coy, dodged the question, and let the speculation grow. That's exactly how a Jake Paul fight would be promoted.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be down. Let's run it. Like, I'll be super, super down. I don't know if
Gervonta needs Jake Paul. Let's be clear, right?
Is there a height limit in boxing?
For years, Tank's fan base defended him whenever people questioned his level of competition. They argued that he was the most dangerous puncher in the sport and didn't need to fight the biggest names to prove himself. But now, even his most loyal supporters are struggling to back him up. His performance against Roach was underwhelming, and his attitude after the fight showed that he's not taking these bouts seriously. If he moves on to fight Jake Paul next, it would be undeniable proof that he has no interest in facing the best anymore.
No, I'm not.
He's a champ though too, undefeated.
And what champ? Come on, man, tell me what belt. You know boxing. You forgot Devin Haney is undisputed. Devin Haney got all the belts. He the champ. Nobody else the champ. I'm gonna come up here where the big boys at.
A fight with Jake Paul would also bring mainstream attention. Tank has always been a star in the boxing world, but Jake Paul attracts a completely different audience. This would be a fight that sells purely because of the names involved, not because of any real competition. Casual fans would eat it up, and hardcore boxing fans would hate it, but either way, it would make money. And at this stage, that seems to be the only thing Tank cares about. Some might argue that Tank is just trolling and wouldn't actually fight Jake Paul, but the fact is, he hasn't denied it. When the idea was brought up, he didn't shoot it down or laugh it off. He simply moved on to the next question. That's not how a fighter responds to a ridiculous rumor. That's how a fighter responds when something is being negotiated behind the scenes.
Go ahead, Daz, get in the ring, Daz.
The biggest issue with all of this is that Tank still has unfinished business at lightweight. There are top-tier challengers waiting for him. Fighters like Shakur, Haney, and even Gervonta Davis, who has been calling him out nonstop. If Tank wants to prove he's the best at 135, those are the fights he needs to take. But if he chooses to fight Jake Paul instead, it's clear he's given up on being great. He's no longer aiming to build a legendary career. He just wants the biggest payday possible. And right now, Jake Paul is that payday. What do you think is next? Do you believe Lamont Roach outclassed Tank? Share your thoughts below and subscribe for more.